Hello, everybody. We're having a little technical difficulties today on this episode of Marketing Mondays with Ira Bowman, but I am here and I am glad you are too. I have got I think it's a very interesting show topic for you today. I was just at a live event that I helped organize with one of my good friends, Joel Phillips, called Gain Ontario. And I was in a room full of business owners, entrepreneurs, professionals of a variety of fields. There was a diverse crowd there, and everybody had websites. And I was listening to conversations and I was listening to speakers. And it's funny, there are so many opinions out there about what you should be doing on your websites and how to be successful on the websites. But I'll tell you, I didn't actually hear a lot of the right answer. Now, when I say the right answer, I'm talking about when it comes to Google, I'm talking about when it comes to psychographics, I'm talking about when it comes to just user behavior. And I'm also talking about your prospects. Your prospects have to know you exist, that they have to find your website before they can consume any of the stuff on it. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, here's what it means. Very, very simply. 99% of the websites out there are set up incorrectly. And there's an opportunity cost that's associated with that incorrect setup that is costing people a lot of future sales. Sales are lower than they should be because the websites aren't set up right. So today's show, if you have a website, I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you fix your websites so that you can gain the attention of the prospects, and not only gain their attention, but keep their attention once they're there. Here's an interesting fact. And there was somebody who was very smart. My friend, in fact, his name is Fritz Colinet. And Fritz was talking about, he runs a branding company. And he was talking about how many people out there have a website or ordered a website that was created for desktops, and they don't even consider mobile view. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I mean, grab your phone. Here's mine. Grab your phone and visit your website and see how easy it is to navigate. See if things are lined up. See if things are cut off, right? Like, you got to make sure that it's the technical term here is responsive, but it needs to be mobile responsive. It needs to be. Why? The very first frequently asked question that I'm going to address today has to do with where people are coming from online. If you don't know this, this might surprise you. But then I'm going to have you think about your own behavior, and all of a sudden you're going to go, like, of course. There are more people on the internet at any given moment, every single day, on one of these devices, mobile devices, than there are on regular computers, which in the SEO world we call desktop. So you need to make sure that your website, first and foremost, not as an afterthought, your website design should be designed as a mobile first platform. That's one of the mistakes. It's not the biggest mistake, but it's one of the mistakes a lot of people are making. Okay. So you need to have a mobile friendly website. What does that mean? Again, pick up your phone and go to a website, go to any website and look and see how easy is it to navigate. The menu, can you find it? The photos, the videos, the content, whatever you're looking for. Try to find the blog, try to find a way to contact them, right? Like, if it's a struggle because things are too small or things are too big, then they probably didn't design their website in a mobile friendly fashion, and that's a mistake. Now, if you ask me, Ira, okay, more people are on mobile, what we call mobile, right? They're on their phone more on the website than any other platform. What are the ratios? Okay, well, the ratios vary a little bit, but roughly 50, let's say 58 to 60%. 58 to 60% is the percentage that I really feel comfortable sharing. 58 to 60% of the internet is mobile based or phone based. Okay. You got another 2 to 3% probably that are tablet based. So, let's say it's safely over 60%. Because if you take the 58 and the 2, that's the low side on both mobile view and tablet view. That means you can only have up to 40%, 4 out of 10 on a desktop. And those numbers are usually not 40%, they're usually in the 30s. Okay. So if I told you that you could design anything, whether it be a brochure, a marketing message, a room, a house, whatever, and you would accommodate only 3/10. I'm sorry, 30%. That's what I mean to say. You can only accommodate 30% of your audience, or you have a solution that could accommodate 60 to 70% of your audience. Which way would you go? Well, the obvious answer is you would go with the solution for the most part that benefited the most people. That's what would happen in most cases. There might be some special circumstances like for leadership or the elite or the ultra poor or whatever, right? Sometimes we do cater to groups, but for the most part, we're trying to cater to the masses who we impact the most. So write this down if you're taking notes. But the very first thing, in fact, I'm going to put this over in the comment section on LinkedIn. The first actionable tip, and I apologize if I misspell some words today, but I'm just going to do this quick. The first actionable tip is to make sure your website is built for the mobile experience. Not just mobile friendly, frankly, but that should be, I like the way I said this, over half of all internet traffic is on a phone. Okay. So long-winded, but here it is, right? The first actionable tip is to make sure your website is built for the mobile experience because over half of all internet traffic is on a phone. That's a simple strategic shift that I guarantee you if I polled 100 website owners, 90% or more would fail. If they were being truthful, they might be mobile friendly and they have considered probably about 50%, 60% would be my guess there. People would say, well, we didn't design it for the phone, but we did consider the phone and we have a mobile responsive site. Okay, great. And many of those people didn't even really seek to do that. They picked a theme that was happened to be mobile friendly and it did the heavy lifting for them. But I'm saying when you're talking to your web developer, whoever that is, whether that's my team at Bowman Digital Media or whoever you might use Fritz Company, or I know a lot of great website designers out there and development companies. Certainly we do a very small percentage of the overall billions. There's 1.1 billion websites out there, right? So, and those are just the official ones. That doesn't even count the ones on the dark web. All right. But of these websites, 1.1 billion, we do very few. But how many of them are actually built, designed on purpose for the phone? Very, very few. And that is a mistake. So, my very first actionable tip is to make sure it's phone friendly. Now, showing you what a mobile friendly website is on this show, because frankly, I'm using a desktop computer, It's not very practical. I thought about that, some things that I could do. I could go into my WordPress and show you what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to do that for the sake of this show. I think I would lose most people's attention anyways. But I will say this: if you don't know what that means and you have a website and you're interested in learning, reach out to me for a one-on-one session and I'll see if I can't help accommodate you. I might set up a special Zoom call or something for that if I get multiple people reaching out to me for it. But mobile friendly shouldn't come as a surprise or even like how to do it to any competent developer out there. So you can work with whoever your team that's currently in place. They should be able to do this for you. Although I would ask you, it begs the question: if they haven't brought it up, why not? Right? This is super important for your business. Okay, moving on to item number 2. Now, item number 2, I'm going to step on some more toes. I'm probably going to step on a lot of toes today, and I'm not trying to be mean. This is Ira being kind, even though what I'm saying might be hard to hear. But I want you to think about how you use Google. And just as a reminder, why does Google matter so much? Just like there are more than half of internet users using the phone, over half of the internet traffic out there runs through Google. For more information on that, watch my second TEDx talk. It's on my media kit on my website. You can check it out in my LinkedIn profile. I've got it tagged in the featured section, right? Okay, so just go to LinkedIn, find Ira Bowman, and then go to my featured section. It's right there for you. Watch it, right? I give you all the stats, the figures, analytics out the yin yang. And there it is. All right. But the fact is, it's true. And it's actually growing. Some of you think that like ChatGPT or Bard or Alexa or some other device somewhere is taking traffic from Google. Let me just reiterate this as clearly as I can. There is no larger monopoly on planet Earth than Google. It dominates. It'd be like putting a NBA professional basketball player up against a 3-year-old in a serious competition of basketball. That 3-year-old, I don't care who they are, they have absolutely no chance. They're outclassed in every single way, right? They're going to get hurt. That's Google compared to Bing, which is number 2, comes in at less than 2% of all search engine traffic. Google gets 92% of search engine traffic on desktops, 94% of search volume for search engines on mobile devices, averaging it out at 93% or so. It's just incredible. The next 3, which are Bing, then Yahoo, who Yahoo has, I think, about 1%. So Bing is like 1.25% of all search engine traffic. Yahoo, I think, is right at 1%. And then DuckDuckGo, which is just under 1%. So your second, third, and fourth place search engines only, as far as overall volume, less than 5%. Honestly, I think it's less than 4% of the overall volume. It's not even close. Good night. YouTube has more search engine traffic than the number 2, number 3, and number 4 search engines on the planet, but it's not considered a search engine, so they don't give it credit for that. But if it was listed as a search engine, which frankly, in a lot of ways it is, because people are searching for those videos to the tune of like 2.1 billion or something like that users on YouTube every single month. It's an incredible amount of volume. But there's nothing close to Google. How many searches are on Google every day? The latest report that I saw showed it at over 9 billion searches per day. When I did my TEDx talk, I used the data from 2022, the year 2022. And at that point, it was 7 billion, well, over 7 billion, but just over 7 billion searches per day. That was 81,000 searches per second. In 2023 so far, it's averaging 99,000 plus searches per second. Every single second, that's the average. 99,000 plus searches per second on Google. It's mind-boggling. There is nothing even close to the traffic that's generated by Google, and that is why what I'm about to say is extremely important. And I'm have some examples for you on this one. But here's the thing. You need to understand what it is, whoever it is. My daughter's supporting me here. She's the only other person who's made a comment today. I don't know if I'm losing y'all or whatever, but anyways, I'm going to keep going. But hello, Lily. All right. Now, Google is so important because of the overall volume. It is the go-to of go-to places. Like I said, there is no bigger monopoly on planet Earth than Google. All right. That being said, Google is super important, but you need to think about how you search Google and how other people search Google, because this is action item number 2. And the biggest mistake, in my opinion, that website owners are making is they are burying the lead so far down. When I say this term, you're going to, and it's in the title, by the way, if you want to cheat, right? What are they searching for on Google to find whatever it is that you do? Okay. Because they're not searching, and let's just be real here. If they don't know your company exists, they're not searching for your company name. So when you're finding out, well, where do I rank on Google? And you type your company name and you see you're at the top, well, obviously you're at top. Obviously, that's what we call a branded search. A branded search is basically irrelevant because those people already know you exist. You're going to get them anyways. What we really want on Google are the people who don't know who we are, but they need what we do in the area specifically that we do it. So our geofence becomes part of it. We'll get to that part of it in just a little bit. But think about what you would put in Google, or what somebody who needs what you do, what would they enter into the search bar? And Google calls it a query, which I know is a very funny word, but it is what it is, right? So what are they searching for? That's what you need to have all over your website. The question in titles, the question in your content, the questions in your videos, the question in your graphics. Why? Because Google's looking for direct matches, and they're looking for content that supports the answer to those questions. There is a common page on most websites that's buried somewhere in oblivion, and it doesn't even make a lot of people's sitemaps or menus of, at least their header menus. It might make the sitemap, but not the header menu. It's called the FAQ, frequently asked questions. Your frequently asked questions should not be buried on some random page and hard to find. It's an FAQ because it's asked frequently. If it isn't a frequently asked question, it's not an FAQ, right? Might have random questions that, people coincidentally will ask every once in a while, but it's not a frequently asked question. I'm not talking about those, because the odds are there's very few searches for those things. You really need to focus the main thing on the main thing. I'm going to pull up an example of one way that you could address this situation and instantly improve your shot of being successful and increase sales, because I promised today that was one of the things that I was going to help people do. Watch this show, implement some of these strategies, and watch your sales skyrocket. Okay? Skyrocket. Why? Because I know if you do the things I'm telling you to do, your Google rankings, or what we call SERP, which stands for Search Engine Results Page, your SERP will go up. And the higher you go up, the more traffic you get. You got to be on page 1. But ultimately, you really need to be in positions 1, 2, or 3. I'm going to show you what that is. In fact, let me do that real fast first. So if we come to Google, let's just go to Google. And let's do a search for anything. Let's do this. CEO coaching near me. A lot of people would search that. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? CEO coaching on, let's see. Um, all right, I'm just randomly picking something here. Okay, but I didn't want a map thing. That's why I did it this way. All right. So the very first one that's actually being recommended is right here: scholarly articles for CEO coaching on communication. And part of the reason why it ranks so high is because CEO coaching on communication was in my question, and it's in their title. You see what I mean? By putting the question in the titles, in the graphics, in the videos, in the content. That's part of why I'm saying that. Okay. So now you have an understanding of what I mean. So this one right here is going to get statistically, this one specifically might not, but statistically, when you're in the first spot below the ads. Most people aren't clicking on those ads. Over 60% of people on Google skip past the ads and go to this spot right here, which we call the first SERP spot. There's 10 on every single page. Most pages, they have 10. Okay. So the first position on page one, this will get 30% across the board on average. This one is position two. This will get 20%. And then if you come down here to the third one, this one will get about 10%. And then these ones split about 30% more up to here, right? So positions 4 through 10 split about 30%. Positions 1 through 10 split about 60%. And the rest of them statistically don't get much, under 1%. Okay. So it really makes a difference if you're on the first page or not. But you fighting for these top spots. You want to be, in this case, you want to be this guy right here. This is the winner. This is second place. Mandel Communications did a good job. Executive Communication Coaching. They've got obviously some good content on here. We could check it out, but we're not going to, but we could, right? So what are we doing now? Now what I've got going on, let me move this out of the way. Okay. So now what we've got going on is a landing page. And he's got a question right here. This is one of his FAQs. Can CEO coaching help you? So we decided to lead with it. And then down here, we doubled down. FAQs about how a CEO coach can help you. Guess what? If you watch this video, he's talking about all the ways a CEO coach can help you. And then, and here in the content, we have it too. So we've got it in video, we've got it in titles, we've got it in the content, we've got the FAQ. Where is this? This is his homepage. And if you click on this, it gives you the answer for how a CEO coach can help you with time management. How can a CEO coach help you with money? Here's the answers detailed out. Here's how they can help you with hiring and so forth. You see this? It's not the buried afterthoughts. It's the main slice. Now, why does that matter? I'm going to navigate away from this for just a second. I'm going to come back to full screen. Why does that matter? I'm going to dive into this deeply in a minute. But it matters because they on Google who don't know you or your company, but we're searching for a specific question, are not there to learn about how wonderful you are. They're not there to learn about your experience. They're not there to learn about how you dominate your competition, how expensive your programs are, how cheap programs are. They're not trying to get your free white paper or any of the other crap you're trying to push on them. They're just not. They're looking for the answer to their question. So you lead with the FAQs, right? You lead with that because that's what they're actually looking for. The bullseye is not your company history. The bullseye is not how many freaking TV shows you've been on or how many awards you've won or all the different minutia that I see site after site after site. It's like somebody had a bad idea and everybody decided it was going to be a good idea to copycat the people with the bad ideas. But think about how you use Google. Do you go on to Google and say, please show me the company who won the most awards for whatever in 2023 or 2022. Show me the business that's been around the longest in architecture in my area, because I'm only interested in working with the architect who's worked the longest or has the most collective experience, right? You don't search that way. I don't search that way. There might be somebody out there who searches that way. I'm going to say there probably is, just because I find there's almost an exception to every rule. But I promise you this, they are certainly the exception and not the rule. What instead would people search for what you do? I'll make it really simple for you, for me. You want to know what people search for my company? Let me show you. I'm going to show you, and you're going to start to put this all together. Okay. My people search for this. They want help with Google. They want marketing help. They want more visibility. Hang on. They want more sales. Number one question I get, Ira, can you help me get more sales? Right? So what do I say here? I am a digital marketing SEO service provider, so I have to say that. But right underneath it, right here, we increase sales and visibility for you. Why do I say that? Because that answers directly these FAQs. These are my FAQs. I animated it to try to drive some visual attention. But I'll tell you what, you notice how there's this funky little space right here? The reason why that funky little space right there is because I set this up. I optimized this front page specifically on a mobile device. I challenge you to get your mobile device out right now and go look at bowmandigitalmedia.com on the phone and then compare it to your website. I promise you, my website is set up for mobile experience. Easy to navigate. Everything was designed for the phone. Why? Because, like I said in the first point, the first action item, over half of the internet traffic is on mobile already. And that number is just going to continue to climb as we get closer and closer to 2030. It's not going back ever to a desktop dominant world. I'm going to be so bold to predict that by 2050, most people won't even have a desktop at all. I think we're going to be using heads up glasses and cell phones, and that's the future, right? It isn't desktops. So if your website was built in 2014 and has never been updated as a mobile friendly website, and you're struggling to get sales leads, I'll bet you I just told you your problem. And it begs the question, why didn't your marketing company tell you that? But I'll let you figure that one out. All right. So let me just put here in the notes, just so everybody can make it clear what I'm suggesting for number 2. Number 1, website mobile. Even if it looks a little bit funny on desktop, people will forgive you for that, right? The big thing is go to the website mobile version and make sure it looks good there. But let me come back to this one because this is super important. And this is point number 2. And I'm going to put it in the thing right now. Action item number 2. If you have any questions, by the way, feel free to put them in the comments. I'm here to answer your questions too. Action item. In fact, if you have a website and you want me to look at it to do a website review for you to give you some free ideas while I'm on the show about how you can improve your website, I'm happy to do that. I would be happy to do that. Okay. Action item number 2 is to incorporate your FAQs up at the top of your homepage on your website. Okay. Now, why? Okay, so here we go. So action item number 2, incorporate your FAQs at the top of your homepage on website. Why, Ira? Because that's the questions they're asking on Google. If those are not like, look, if your FAQs are not the questions that people are asking on Google to find a company like you, then you need to you need to revise your FAQs, because there's no more important questions than what they're asking on Google to find a company who does what you do. And your competitors, whoever it is, who have taken advice like this and incorporated it, those are the ones, if you go and look at their websites, those are the ones that win. They dominate. I promise you. We've seen a huge change in the website traffic on this particular website after we made these changes. It's night and day different from what he had, which was very similar to what a lot of you have on your websites, which we'll get into in a second. I'm going to take you all to task on your website content. But let me show you another way, right? This is another one of my clients. This is kind of another way that you can do it. So they didn't ask questions and they don't have the FAQs up at the front. But what they did do, they made a video and they talked about what they do and how they help, right? So the questions could be like, well, how does a business consultant help, right? Change management, culture change. These are the things that they talk about. And then they serve all these amazing companies. And again, this is a very mobile friendly website. So this was set up primarily for mobile. So you've got all these high-end companies that they work with right here that, these are names that most people know. I'm a Raiders fan, as most of you know. Intermountain Health is one of the companies that sponsors the Raiders specifically. They sponsor the practice facility, I believe. But anyways, so, and then here again, if you don't know Chevron, HP, Gap, you may or may not know RBC, but these are huge, but they're going into answering these questions. It's not we. It's about, you got to get halfway down the page before the first thing about B state, as what I would say is about them, or a we statement, as opposed to a statement or interesting information about how you help them with their issues. All right. So now we've covered two very important action items. First one, just by way of recap, again, mobile friendly, not an option, should not be secondary, shouldn't be, well, I want to have a good website and I also want it to look good on the phone. No, the phone should be number one priority on your website, because that's where the majority of internet users are accessing the internet from. And how many chances do you get to make that first impression? You get one. You get one. Okay. Why does Google matter so much? Google matters so much, and I didn't have this as an action item. This is really just by way of me educating you on why this is also darn important, and why I'm spending a whole hour show to cover something I could say in 5 minutes. But why am I doing that? Number two, you need to have your FAQs be a major part of your website, front and center, top of the header page, on your home page, in titles, in graphics, in videos. I mean, all over it. Why? Because they don't search for who won the most awards. They don't search for who's been in business the longest. They don't search for, who can save me the most money when they design my house or when they run my SEO campaign. They don't search that. Who's the most economical SEO company on the planet? Who searches like that? You know what they want to know instead? They want to know who can help me get my website to number one the fastest. They want to know who can give me good SEO service without a long-term commitment. Who can increase my sales? Those are the things that they're looking for. Instant impact, creating sales, generating sales via digital marketing or SEO, right? That's a long-term keyword, but that's the kind of questions that people are actually asking, right? How can a digital marketing company help me increase my sales? Something like that. Those are the questions that they're going to ask. How can I improve my website traffic? Those are the types of questions that they're going to ask. So those are the types of things that we need to lead with in our websites, people. You understand? And again, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be in your face, but I am trying to highlight the importance here. This is not about you. Yes, it's your website. We get it. Your branding is on it. It's your URL. Great. But you're not paying for you to do your service. This is not for your ego. And this is the mistake, action item number 3. The mistake that people are making is, and I have a great friend, she's also in marketing. Her name is Allison DeFord, and she created, as far as I know, she came up with it. That's where I learned it anyways. I'm gonna give her credit. All right. She came up with this statement called the wee wees, and people wee wee all over their webpage. It's all about you. How long you been in business, how good you are, how dominant you are, how many people are on your team, how fast you are, how cheap you are, how many awards you won. I mean, pick any random website and go to it, and that's the garbage that you're going to see. And I call it garbage for this reason. Again, I'm not trying to be offensive, and I know 99% of the websites out there are like this, but here's the mistake with it. Those websites were not created by salespeople, not good salespeople anyways. None of them. Because I can tell you this, being in sales for over 20 years, and that's just my professional career. I started selling stuff, frankly, at 5 years old. But this is not about me. Let me get it back to you. People don't want to be sold, but they do want help. And when they're on Google, they're looking for something specifically. It isn't interesting to them to have to hunt and peck to find your FAQs or to find the answer to the question, can this fill in the blank company on this fill in the blank website.com or dot whatever, is this a resource that it can actually answer my question? Google suggested it, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. But where's the answer? If it's not front and center on the homepage, you need to understand what a bounce is for this to make sense. And you have to also understand the psychographics, human behavior. Would you say that people are more patient or less patient today? Do they have a tendency to wait for things, or do they want it immediately? There's an expression out there today called instant gratification, and it has everything to do with websites. Everything. If your website loads too slow, you're going to get bounces. If they have to struggle to see where your website is relevant to their question or their search for information, they're going to leave your website. And they're going to do it so fast your head will spin. People don't even want to wait 3 seconds. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. By the time I got done with the 3rd Mississippi, more often than not, people will leave your website because it's too slow. It's too slow. Now, you get a little bit more grace on mobile, which is kind of cool. On the phone, people are a little bit more patient, usually because Wi-Fi is spotty or whatever. They're using their data plan. It takes a little bit longer to load, but that's usually signal related or data related than it is because your website is slow. So you get a little bit longer threshold on mobile. But here's the bottom line. I'm trying to think who said it. There's somebody I know who said it. They don't care what you know. They don't care what you know until they know that you can help them. That's it. It's really that simple. So action item number 3 is you need to change the focus, especially on your homepage, away from your company history, your company's about, your company's mission, your company's awards. All that stuff is not irrelevant. It's just not as important to a visitor as answering their question. Can you help me increase my sales? Oh, I see that you can. Okay. Now I'm going to start to consume your content and learn a little bit more about you. So again, it's not that you can't have it. But again, let me show you an example of how this is done correctly. Okay. Again, this whole top, we call this the header. This is what you see before you scroll. This isn't about B state. It's not about, their experience, which is vast, about awards that they win, how many stages this guy's been on. I mean, it's not about any of that. Why? Because people aren't searching for, Mark Samuel's personal history, right? They want to know, can this company help me change the culture of my company in 4 to 6 months? Yes, he can. He's got what they call the hero list right here. Okay. Can they help me complete a project 25% faster? In other words, get it done sooner. Yes, they can. 25%. Revenue, customer satisfaction, and margins increase. In other words, we'll help you perform better. High performance team habits. Maybe your team's gotten sloppy, right? These are the things that they can actually do for you. So if you're looking, can a company do any of this hero list? Why this is relevant is because it answers the question in a variety of ways what they can do to help. Now, if you don't see your list here, what do you think the odds of you scrolling down are? Probably pretty low, unless you happen to catch one of these and you're like, oh, I'm in the nuclear industry, or oh, I'm in aerospace, or oh, I'm in energy, or hospitals, or defense, right? Then you go, oh, well, shoot, these guys specialize in my industry. Maybe I will then scroll down, right? But I promise you, if you didn't catch them here and you didn't catch them here, then they're not scrolling. They're going back button. They're leaving you. It's called a bounce. Okay. The other thing that could have happened here is they could have watched the video, which is why your home video, again, is not a brochure. It's not a welcome message from the president talking about how great the company is, because it's irrelevant. If you watch this video, what Mark does is reads through this list. Why? Because I told him to do that. And why did I tell him to do that? Because this is addressing the things that they're searching for. And if they're not searching for these things, then they're probably in the wrong website anyways. You get it? Same thing again. If we go back here to Brad Smith's website, when all is said and done, we're trying to tell people about CEO coaching. If they're not a CEO, they're on the wrong website, right? And if they are looking for how a CEO coach can help, yeah, it's all right here. And guess what? If you watch this video, he just reads through this list. Why? Because that's what I told him to do. And why did I tell him to do that? Because that's what people are on the internet searching for if they need what he does. If they're searching for something else, they don't need what Brad Smith does. There's no reason for them to come to his website. I don't want those people there. Yes, I realize that that's less traffic, but I need good, engaged traffic. I don't need garbage. You don't want people coming in by the thousands who are never going to buy anything from your website because they don't have any need for it. It's a waste of your time. That's why PPC campaigns cost so much and produce so little. I'm not saying they're completely a waste of money. I'm just saying they're very inefficient. And if I only had $5,000 a month to spend on marketing, I wouldn't spend a single penny. In fact, I don't on pay-per-click ads, and I never have. And I've been plenty successful, right? But I understand all this other stuff, and I've got this implemented. Again, this is my website. I'm just showing you examples of how to do it right, okay? If somebody doesn't need marketing help, if they don't need more visibility on their website, if they don't need to increase sales, they probably don't need to be on my website. I had a guy call me this morning. He was like, hey, I'm an individual sales rep, and I'm looking for a guy who can do emails, phone calls, and personal LinkedIn messages for me. And I'm like, I'm not the guy for you. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, that's not what we do. He's like, really? What do you do? And I went through it and I explained it to him, which, I asked him if he'd been on my site. Oh, yeah, of course. I'm like, yeah, probably not. Not really. But I was still kind, right? Walked him through it. In fact, I even gave him a lead to a virtual assistant company that he could use to do those things, and it would be a lot cheaper and it's a better fit, right? These are the things that my company does. Now, if you had to guess what I talk about in this video right here, would you guess? Let me give you an answer. Looking to increase sales without sending emails. I'm talking about that specifically. We help drive traffic to our clients' websites to increase their sales and rank higher on Google. That's what we do. And then, look, another thing that a lot of people are searching for is contracts, or I'm sorry, vendor help in marketing without a 1 year, a 3 year, or a 5 year contract, because a lot of companies require that. And it's one of the things that we don't require. It makes us different, in my opinion. It makes us better, but we don't require long term contracts. Now, if you keep going, no, I'm going to show you where the first time I actually talk about Bowman Digital Media and my company is right here. I'm at the halfway point. Okay. So if you're paying attention to any of the three websites that I'm showing you, B State, Stellar Insight Inc., or Bowman Digital Media, you won't find any information about the company itself until you get to the halfway point down the page. The top half of the page, and this is your action item. Okay. So, action item 3. Oops, I was doing this in the wrong spot. Sorry. Bear with me. Action item 3 is to populate the first, I was going to say the first top half. That does redundant. The top half of your home page. And I'm saying really all pages, but let's just focus on the home page for now. Okay. The top half of your home page should be all about your answering your prospects. How do you help them with whatever it is they're searching for? And not even in like the particulars. Like, I don't want a white paper on, well, this is how we save you money or anything like that. I'm just talking about, yes, we help you money. Think big picture, 30,000 foot views. You're talking to a CEO or a president. They're not going to be listening to a scientific explanation. You'll get into that later. But I'm just saying high end, top end answers. 30, I'm just going to spell it out, 30,000 foot view information about how you and I've got some advice for you here, but let me just put this up. All right. So action item 3 is to populate the top half of your website, your homepage. It's a 30,000 foot view here. Again, I don't want you to get lost in the weeds. It takes a lot of real estate, but just talk high level. Can we help increase your sales? Yes. If you go into Bowman Digital Media's homepage and look for how we help you increase your sales, we don't address it on that page. I don't think I address it actually in detail at all on the homepage. I don't need to, because frankly, if they're smart enough, look at me. If they're smart enough to understand how I'm going to help them increase their sales, they probably don't even need to hire me, because they could just do it themselves. Now, I know some people are smart enough to realize that just because I know how to do it doesn't mean I should do it, because there are other things I should be focusing on. Applause to those people. They're very far and few between. But most people, especially small business owners, think that if they know how to do it, they should do it themselves to save their money, forgetting about their quality of life and the amount of time it takes to do it. Right. Okay. But the fact is, they just want to know, can you help me? Am I in the right spot? Did I come to the right place, or do I need to go back and worship at the altar of Google and ask them to point me in another direction? Okay. If your website, especially the homepage, the top half, the header section for sure, doesn't address FAQs, doesn't address what they're looking for and what they want. Now, here's where This is the supplemental advice here, and I really need to say this because I need you to hear it. I don't want you to think like the doctor or the consultant here. You need to understand the psychology of what they're asking for, what they're looking for, and simply address the want. Simon Sinek is so famous for a variety of reasons now, but right, like the why. The why. Understand your why. I'm not saying that's bad philosophy for your personal life. I'm saying that's awful advice. And Simon Sinek would agree here. Okay. He and I would not disagree on this. It's awful advice for strategy for your marketing, your business. Because your prospects, they don't know you. They don't care what your why is. I've got 8 kids. Who cares? Who cares? My friends and family care mostly. Right? But people who don't know me, they're just coming to my website for the first time. Ira Bowman has 8 kids. Who gives a crap? I'm not here for Ira Bowman. I'm not here because Ira Bowman's been a 6-time best-selling author or a 2 times TEDx speaker or blah, 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 blah. Right? The blah, blah, blahs. Who cares? It's not what it's, they're not there. They're not there because, Bowman Digital Media has helped over 40 companies in the last year increase their sales. They're not interested in that. Right? That's not, I can get you to the first page of Google. Okay. I'm interested in that. Want to rank first place on Google? Call me because we can do that. And we can actually do it pretty quick. Want to get your domain authority up? Look, if I spent 5 minutes talking about domain authority, most of you would tune out if you're still with me now. And I'm telling you how to increase sales, and I'm doing it at a high level, and I'm doing it in a way that anybody with or without a marketing degree or background can understand. I'm putting this in very simple terms, and I'm trying to use analogies that you can sink your teeth into. Because when's the last time? Let's say you were looking for an auto mechanic. When's the last time you searched something along the lines of what auto mechanic in my area or near me has been in business the longest? Have you ever done that? I don't think you have, right? What restaurant has the most experienced chef in New York City? Have you ever Googled that before you picked your restaurant? You see what I mean? You see where I'm going? Like, think about how you actually use Google. And then understand that that's how most people probably also use Google. And then go to your website right now, pop quiz, and see how well your website, the top of your homepage, answers those questions. And then you'll understand why I mean most of these websites, 99.9% of these websites need to be rebuilt. First of all, they're not mobile friendly. Second of all, they don't answer the questions. Thirdly, it's worse. It's worse. They're like humble brags about how wonderful their companies are, about how amazing their founder is, about how many shows they've been on and awards they've won and blah, 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 blah. You're missing the mark because you're missing the point of what the website is. Should you have an About Us page? Should you give homage to your founder, right? To your president, to your CEO? I'm not saying it doesn't belong anywhere on the website. Look at mine. I've got a whole page dedicated to my career. Well, I call it a media kit, and it's more about what I'm doing now and what I'm doing in the future than my past. You can go to my LinkedIn to see my past, but I have a page like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Some people are interested in the backstory, especially after they know you can help them. That's the main thing you need to do right away. Right away. You got 10 seconds. Can you help me or not? And I better not have to scroll. I better not have to click. If you make me go hunting, I was about to say Goodwill Hunting. If you make good Ira hunting, right? The odds are most people don't have the patience anymore to go hunting for the answer. They don't want to be on some obscure page that has no graphics, no videos, no personality whatsoever to read through your FAQs. Huge mistake. Huge mistake. Your blogs. Action item number 4. Pick a topic every week from your FAQ, and that's your blog. Keyword it. Keyword it. Add videos because 80% of all people are looking for video content. So let me give you a couple quick action items because I'm running out of time and I can smell dinner in the other room and I'm excited because I'm a hungry man. I love to eat. All right. Action item number 4. Pick an FAQ each week or two. It said write, RAGHT. Write a blog about that. Make sure it has headings. So action item number 4 and 5 are connected, but I'm going to share them a little bit separately just so you can see. So, all right, action item number 4, and I got one more, and then we're out. Action item number 4 is to pick an FAQ, a frequently asked question, each week or two, depending on if you're doing a blog a week or 2 blogs a month. I don't recommend anything less than that. Okay. And just to be clear, it's fine to do fringe topics or water cooler type topics for your blog, but don't make your blog like 50% water cooler stuff. It should probably be 25% water cooler stuff at the most, right? Like it's okay. I did a post today for one of my clients and they do HR technology. And so we are asking today, is customer service dead? It's not really a main topic for what they do. It's a fringe topic, but it does help to get their brand awareness up a little bit with a wider audience, right? And we're just trying to let them know like, hey, we're real people here. So same thing with the blog or social media post, 25% or so. That should be good, especially if you're an established brand. If you're a brand new brand, I actually start at 80% water cooler because you're just trying, it's like throwing out seeds, trying to get people to look at me, that kind of thing. But anyways, as an established brand, 25% would be my recommendation. Okay. Now, action item number 5, my final one. And I've said this so many times I can't even tell you, but I go to website after website and still don't see them. So I'm going to keep getting on my soapbox and preaching this until I start to see this becoming a big thing. Action item number 5. Can you guess what it is? Okay. So just to make this clear, and again, I know that 4 and 5 kind of run together, but it's important for you to understand how powerful videos are. Now, bonus tips. I've got a couple bonus tips after I read this. Okay. Action item number 5 is to add. Yeah. I was like, did I spell that right? No, that's the right ad. The other ad is AD, and that's for advertisements. Okay. Add video content that addresses your FAQ and put them in your header section of each page. Really, they're super important, right? Each page about us, you have FAQs about us too, right? Like where you're located, where you do you service this area? Do you take certain types of payments, whatever? Everybody's got some FAQs on the about us section, but they should be relevant to that specific page. So I'm not saying you take the same video and let's say I have 25 pages on your website, put the same video on each page. No. 20 in that case, if you have 25 pages, you have 25 separate videos, and I like to make them like 2 to 3 minutes max, right? 180 seconds to 270 seconds, somewhere in there. That's about it. That's all you need. Okay. 60 seconds or longer, typically. You don't want to have one that's like 35 seconds is too short. Okay. But 60 seconds to 270 seconds, so a minute to 3 minutes max, I would say, for most header videos. But make sure you do that and you're talking about the FAQs. Why? Again, because they want to make sure they're in the right place. And the video helps to validate that they're in the right place. And 80%, look at me now, 80% of all users every single day online, what are they doing? They're surfing the internet to answer their questions, but they're searching for one very specific type of content. It's where they hang out. If you're watching the show, you're just highlighting my point. You're online, you're watching a video. So make sure that you are giving the audience the answers they want in the form of the content that they want, which is video. Okay, pretty simple. Now, I told you I had some bonus content for videos. If you go to any of the websites that I run, and I run a lot of websites, we do website maintenance, hosting services, SEO services for a lot of companies. Every single one of them. I sometimes have to fight with the owner for this. But we run YouTube videos. This is a by way of bonus. I'm not even going to write this in the comments. If you don't watch it, you're not going to get it. All right. Bonus tip is this. Make sure you put the videos on YouTube and then you share the YouTube video player on your websites, whether it's mobile or whether it's desktop, right? You want to do that. And here's why. Because the largest search engine in the world, the company that actually owns Google, they're not called Google. I think it's ABC, right? That company also owns YouTube. And so if you owned two companies, sister companies, because Google doesn't boss around YouTube and YouTube doesn't boss around Google, they're considered equals, right? They're both very successful, hugely successful, the dominant players in their respective spaces, right? But if you owned a company that had a video service and there was competition video services, which videos would you promote first in your algorithm? You will not find any piece of paper from Google anywhere that says that Google videos have an advantage over Vimeo or any other video playing service, at least not that I've ever seen, not publicly. And I've looked because this is an interesting hypothesis on my part, but I'll go to my grave believing it's 100% true because, well, how couldn't it be? So many of my peers agree with me on this. I've never actually had a peer that I know of at least openly disagree with me on this. They might not agree, but they don't tell me they disagree. YouTube is the smart way to go for your video services. Forget about features, functions, all that stuff, because it's owned by the same company that owns Google, and Google is the key to getting more traffic to your website. Because again, over half the internet traffic is run through Google. You need people to come to your website who don't know you exist. The only way they're going to find you, in the majority of ways they're going to find you, is through Google. Now, you could email them, you could call them, you could meet them at a trade show. Of course, there are other marketing channels. You could have a billboard. They could see your wrapped vehicle. But I'll tell you this. I actually was having this conversation with a friend of mine. I was doing a free consultation for a friend of mine earlier today. And I said, you could take Google and put it on one side of the scale, and every other form of marketing known to man, and put it on the other side of the scale. And if you made me, knowing what I know, pick one side or the other, which includes social media, by the way. Social media, emailing, phone calling, trade shows, I mean all of it. Everything you can think of on the other side of the scale, and ask me to pick which one I would pick. If I could only have one side of the scale or the other, I would go Google every single time. Every single time. Because I know what I'm doing on Google. I have a team that knows what they're doing on Google. Google. It's too much 9 billion searches per day, 99,000 plus searches per second. There's nothing like it on the planet. Google, if Google was a body of water, it would be an ocean, and there's nothing even close, like not a bucket of water, really. I mean, in comparison, it's probably not exactly accurate. You probably could have like a bathtub or a small, above ground pool, for social media in comparison, but it's not even close, guys. It's not even close. And then, well, that's another topic for another day. But make sure that your videos address your FAQs. Make sure they're in your header sections of every page. Make sure they're posted on Google. And then here's the last tip for you when it comes, I'm sorry, on YouTube. When you post it on YouTube in your channel, make sure you're picking your playlist correctly. Don't leave it to the algorithm to decide the next video on YouTube. When you load your video up on YouTube, one of the things that you can do is pick the playlist that the video goes in. So if you don't set the video to auto loop, which I'm not a huge fan of that, like just having the video loop, 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 it's a little boring, right? But if they want to sit there and watch your content, then make sure you have a playlist that addresses that particular topic, right? So if it's on the About Us page, you have a playlist for the About Us. And if it's on the home page, you have a playlist that's for the home page. And make sure your video content is sophisticated enough to do that. Now, if you've only got 6 videos in your entire YouTube arsenal because you're a brand new company, brand new thing, that's fine. Then just put them all in one. And then as you get more and more, think about that. Okay, now I'm creating videos for specific pages, and I'm going to have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 videos deep for each one and make that a playlist. Okay. Anyways, we went a little long today, not as long as we have been going, but this is regularly an hour show, and I'm 8 minutes and 45 seconds over. So I hope this has been a help. I had no comments. I don't even know if anybody's watching, but I'll find out later when I look at the analytics of the show. My name is Ira Bowman. If you want to increase sales in your website, well, I'm sorry, if you just want to increase your web sales, period, then you need to take to heart what I've shared today. You need to totally rethink how your website is constructed from the platform it was created for. Namely, it needs to be created for mobile device. You need to really, really, really change the content on your homepage completely because what you have is garbage. And I'm not trying to be rude, but watch the show and you'll understand. FAQs up at the top, videos up at the top, have these questions in your titles, all that stuff. Why? Because that's what they're on Google looking for. Why does that matter? Because that's where most people are finding websites to go visit. Over half are finding them that way. Then you need to make sure that your website is not a humble brag about you and your awesome company and how wonderful you are, because people don't care about that yet. Again, it's important to have some of the stuff on your website, just not in the predominant spot. Because as I told you, if you don't catch their attention quickly, usually in about 3 seconds, they're going to leave. And they don't care how great you are until they know that you can help them get what they want. So it isn't about the why. Your why specifically to them is irrelevant. They don't know, like, or trust you yet. They don't care. But they are looking for someone who can do what it is you do. Hopefully that's why Google recommended your website, or this will be the reason why they don't recommend your website, because you don't address this, right? If you do it right, they will. Okay. Then make sure that you have video content in your blogs. Write a blog 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever frequency you want, but at least once every 2 weeks. And pick a topic from your FAQs and write that as a blog topic. And that will help you build your content, your on-page content centered around the questions that people are asking for. It'll strengthen your case with Google why they should send people to your website as opposed to another one. And then, like I said, for number 5, make sure that your video content on the top of every page is addressing specific FAQs centered around that page. Okay. Don't get too technical. Don't get lost in the nomenclature of your profession. If you learned it in school, especially if you've got a master's or a doctorate, it's probably too complicated. You need to dumb this down. Again, how are they searching for it on Google, those we're going to call keywords. What are those keywords? Well, those are the things that we want to paste all over your heading, your H1 tags, your H2 tags, your H3 tags. We want to have it in your videos. We want to have it in your graphics. We want to have interactive media. If you've watched all this and you're still with me and you're interested in a free consultation on how I would go about changing your website, reach out to me. I do a free 30-minute consultation. I'd be happy to talk to you then. Anyways, my name is Ira Bowman. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next week. Maybe not at this time. If I don't have anybody watching, then I might announce a time change again. I know I just changed times, but I didn't get very many views on LinkedIn. I think I got very few, less than 10, which is the worst I've ever done by a long. I mean, it's been a long time since I only had 10 views on anything. But my YouTube and my Facebook did better, but my LinkedIn last week was really bad. And I don't think I got a single comment today in the comments other than my daughter. And that's just never happened to me. So I might change the time again. Maybe I'll go back to my 11 o'clock spot. Maybe I'll make it earlier. I don't know. I will, I'll get back to you, but Marketing Mondays will be on the air next week. Topic to be determined. If you're watching and you have a suggestion for what you would like me to cover next week, go ahead and send it to me. Give me a direct message, put it in the comments. I'll find it. And until then, have a great week, everybody. Thank you so much, so much for watching. I appreciate you more than I could ever express. Thank you. BowmanDigitalMedia.com